Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Roundabout Sports presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media, Harsh Construction LLC as well, with over 50 years combined experience in home renovation, construction, and landscaping. Harsh Construction LLC. Be sure to call them for a free quote today at 618-363-9818. That is 618-363-9818. Harsh Construction LLC, the proud sponsor of Interstate 70 Sports Media. Once again, of course, I want to thank everybody who is tuning in right now. It is a kind of cold and rainy Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. I am the Maestro, Jeremy Karp, and just a couple days ago, we were on the air. Adam Frecks will be joining us, of course, yet again. But definitely a lot to talk about yet again this week after what has been a crazy few days of NFL free agency. So, with all of that being said, let us kind of delve into what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about everything going on free agency wise that we didn't talk about on Monday night. We're going to talk about Bam Adebayo scoring 83 points, which is the second highest total in the history of the NBA. So it's mind-blowing to me that has happened. And we're going to have Adam on, my co-host, in just a few minutes. Until then, allow me to do kind of some of the usual spiel as always. Roundabout Sports can be found on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and any and all other streaming platforms. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, X, and on the official Interstate 70 Sports Media YouTube channel as well. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitch at JCarp32Squad. Although I know it just from my name, it is the official one for Interstate 70 Sports Media. Of course, we got a lot of other amazing shows as a part of our network. And of course, that is including but not limited to the Blues Fan Forum podcast, the STL Hockey Fan podcast, Issues with Wrestling with Christopher Miles and Jared Shannon, and so much more. So that, of course, is that and all much more you can find all across our social media platforms. Now, like I said, a couple days ago when we went on the air, Max Crosby at that point had a deal in place with the Baltimore Ravens, where Crosby would be traded to the Ravens for 2 first-round picks. And the funny thing about it is we take a look at the fact, and as I bring in my co-host now, and I'm sorry for those that are trying to tune in on X or Twitter or however you want to call it, Adam, what the heck is going on with Max Crosby, the Ravens, and the Raiders?
Dude, talk about it's tough for Raiders fans out here, dude. It is tough for Raiders fans out here. It's a crazy situation, man. I can't think of it. I imagine this has happened before, but maybe not to the extent of this player, his caliber. So the fact that it happened and immediately they signed Trey Hendrickson. So it's just what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy surrounding that whole thing. A lot of people not thrilled about the whole ordeal with Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby. Give us your take on this, because it's not just that the Max Crosby deal fell through. Deals fall through all the time. It's that the trade was practically set in stone and made. And then it seems like Baltimore gets cold feet and then just like that jumps to get Trey Hendrickson instead.
I would assume that goes back to the medical report that they received, something that they wasn't comfortable with acquiring a guy like Crosby. So, and then you coming off a major knee surgery, it's kind of tough. It's one of those things where the medical report is like the one last out for teams that kind of, when you do get cold feet, that's a great time to use it in a situation where Crosby, who's been as injured as he was last year.
Yeah,
they wasn't willing to take it.
Right, and that is the big thing, is that, yes, this all is stemming from the fact that Max Crosby's injury report, like, they didn't like something. He failed the physical based off of the Baltimore Ravens doctors' standards. They had determined that while he's making really good progress for the standards of the short term, so maybe this season and next season, they are if they're giving up 2 first-round picks, they need you better than healthy for more than just 2 seasons.
So, yes, and on top of that, like there's usually going to be some type of extension with those type of players. They'd want him to be committed for longer than those past the 2 years. So you take all those things into consideration. It's really one of those things where they wasn't willing, which is interesting because for me, Max Crosby is the type of player you take a bet on.
Well, I was going to say, now here's the thing. I mean, would you rather have at this moment Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby on your team?
Oh, I'd rather have Max Crosby.
Now,
even with knowing he's going to be hurt.
This is the thing. As far as the player goes, I would take Max Crosby without a doubt. With what the Ravens now have, I can't stand the fact that they went about the business the way they did. That pisses me off to no end. But I will say, from their perspective, look, we either give up 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby with a big question mark, or we keep 2 draft picks and sign Trey Hendrickson to a big extension. Let's not act like, okay, Max Crosby's great. Of course he is. But it's not like he's all the way at the top and Trey Hendrickson's all the way at the bottom.
No, for sure.
For keeping 2 first-round picks, Trey Hendrickson is a suitable substitution for not getting Max Crosby.
Well, that's the better deal is keeping their 2 firsts and getting Hendrickson compared to giving up 2 firsts and getting Crosby. So it's a better deal that way.
Right. And at the end of the day, that is what it all comes down to. And what most people are going to be looking at the end of the day is the fact that, oh, well, here we go. Now they still got they got a really good pick out of this, or they've got a really good player out of this, backing out of the trade, and they still got 2 firsts. So,
yeah, I mean, essentially, that's they got their 2. I mean, it's a better deal for the Ravens. So, does it come off as a little like what's going on here? Yeah, for sure. But they're playing within the rules.
I was gonna say it's not technical. I mean, it's not illegal. It's really not. I'm not gonna act like it is and that they broke any rules or anything, because they didn't. It's just
it feels slimy.
It's slimy. It's sus and it's slimy. There you go. That is the best way to really describe it. And keep in mind, hours later, they signed Hendrickson to a 4-year, $112 million deal with $60 million guaranteed.
Which now, how old is Hendrickson? He's what, late 20s? The fact that he got a 4-year deal, I'm surprised he got that.
Hendrickson is 31.
Even more so, I was surprised he got that big of a bump with him holding out with Cincinnati the last couple of years. I thought I didn't think he'd ever got that big paycheck.
Crosby's
Though.
28, and he'll be 29 in August. Now, I also look at the prices that they commanded. When you look at it, Hendrickson wanted $30 million a year, which very high asking price. Teams were not willing to take that on. And obviously the Max Crosby deal, the trade really shifted the market, made teams think twice about what the price of all these elite players are. And now here we are, almost kind of back to square one, because now, they restructured Lamar Jackson's contract for $40 million in cap space. They're building back up. And I will say this. I do like what Sauce Gardner said about it. He says, in order for the Ravens to get past all of this, they must send Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby to the Indianapolis Colts while paying their salaries.
That's funny. That's a good take for an athlete to have.
I was gonna say that's those fun attitudes that
Right.
you need to see more of, because yes, people are extremely pissed off about all of this, and
well, just think if you're a Raiders fan, you had that moment of like, damn, they had their closure with Crosby, and now they're looking into, what, we got 2 firsts, we need to build on this, and then to have it all tore back down again, and now what happens to Crosby now? Like, do they figure it out? Do find a trading
he's
partner?
Still on the market. I'm looking at it right now, and yeah, the Raiders are still putting him on the market, saying, look, if somebody wants to make a deal, let's make a deal, one that we will actually hold proper merit with.
Well, the thing is now, if they don't get the same first rounders, not the same first rounders, but around the same equivalency of value, yeah, it's Raiders are in a tough spot.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Do you think they keep Crosby, or do they trade him away?
I think you have to trade him away here, but something in my heart tells me like Crosby sits out injured for most of the year next year and stays on not the Ravens, but the Raiders.
Okay, that's it.
I know it might be a strong take, or a far-fetched take, but it's one of those things. It's kind of, what do you do in this situation now?
Well, yeah, now, and I will say the Ravens have definitely set an ugly precedent for NFL offseason trades, and usually this is what happens. Because it was very unconventional also how it got announced. Because when a trade gets called off due to a failed physical, typically the news goes to the media with a note that the deal is now off.
Right.
The Raiders did not do that. The Raiders went right to Twitter and said, the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of our agreement for Max Crosby. We will have no further comment at this time.
I know. It sounds like they got broke up with.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Just like there's the level of saltiness is like, well, this is why this didn't work out. Talk to the other party. When usually you just let it handle through the press. That when I read that, I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it was real just because the way it was worded. Because usually it's a little more professional than that when it comes from teams dealing with other teams, or like you said, it comes through a reporter. So the fact they said it that way. They were hurt too. Like that whole building's hurt right now.
Yeah. Whole building is definitely oh goodness gracious. They are feeling it. And it's funny because, I look at it where Max Crosby had 4 years left on his deal at $112.9 million. Well, Hendrickson got a deal with Baltimore worth $112 million.
What was Crosby's again? Say it again.
112.9 million.
So they got the same. They got the same. And they kept their first. Wow, what a great pull by the Ravens, man.
That's what I'm saying. This is
twice in 1 week. I thought it was a great pull to get a guy like Crosby. It's even better package with Hendrickson and your first round picks.
Right.
Interesting.
It is definitely a wild development here. And the Ravens were going to give up 2 first rounders, but now they didn't have to for Hendrickson. And that's the biggest difference because now the Ravens win and everybody else loses. The Raiders lose because they thought they were getting multiple firsts. Yes, everybody, I get it. We love the idea of like if you're a team that gets Max Crosby, yes, that's awesome. But you want that draft capital. And when you're a team like the Raiders, you definitely want that draft capital. Those 2 first are huge for your future. We were just talking about this 2 days ago. How important it is for them to have this. And not only this, but now every other team who wants Max Crosby loses because now the Raiders might not want to do business with anybody. Ravens kind of just soured them.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I can see Crosby coming back to the Raiders. But then there's like, how is that relationship? You just traded your cornerstone franchise player. Now you're bringing him back into the building. I mean, they're the Raiders, so they sent Derek Carr home, so maybe they don't. At this point, you have to trade him if you're the Raiders. Like, you don't really have a choice, and you may end up getting less value than you did from the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way I can see it logically ending. The other way is just going to be an absolute mess. I mean, I could see it happening. I'm actually predicting it, but doesn't make sense to me to go down that road. Yeah, I think Crosby's going back.
Okay. It's a bold take. But
yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's kind of like some of these franchises, you just have to, like, they do certain things. Like the Raiders do things that the Raiders do. The Jets do things like the Jets do, like sign Geno Smith.
Yeah, and that was the next thing I was going to talk about. Geno Smith going back to the Jets. What do you think about all that?
The Raiders traded him, right? Or did he sign with them?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Raiders traded a late round. It's a late round pick swap. They give a late pick away, get one back from the Jets for Geno Smith. So it's full circle for Geno with the team that drafted him.
But like what for me, it's like I never know what direction the Jets are heading. Like they have a little bit of clarity. A couple of years there with Saleh and the defense, and they was missing the quarterback. They try to figure that out, but even just every time it's just you don't know really the direction of what the franchise is going.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of question marks, and it's definitely a much slower day. I will say one of the other big news that came out of today in NFL free agency was Kevin Byard, who led the league last year. Now, this was a stat I did not know. So not only did Kevin Byard lead the league in interceptions last year with 7, he also leads the NFL in interceptions since he was drafted with 36. And Kevin Byard was drafted. He's 32. He was drafted in 2016.
Tennessee?
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, no, he's been a baller for years, man. Even with Tennessee. So if you go back to the mid 2010s to the late 2010s with Vrabel and them, their defense was the cornerstone. And he was a guy who was absolutely underrated in the NFL. You go to the 17, 18, 19 years when Tennessee was really pushing on the door. They had a killer secondary.
Yeah.
But damn, the fact that he had that many. It's not a
Well,
name a lot of
that's
people
my
think
thing.
about.
36 interceptions. When you think of all the corners that have been a part of and safeties that have been in the league since then, like you would think somebody would have more. But then it's also a safety, is different than a corner in regards to getting interceptions. And a lot of elite corners don't have a lot of picks because quarterbacks don't want to throw that way.
Exactly.
That's why Darrelle Revis does not have a whole lot of interceptions by the standards of how great of a corner he was, because nobody threw his way.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, really through the past 20, 30 years, even going back to before Palomalu and Ed Reed, it's always been a safety's game to play in that in the center field and be the guy who gets the ball.
Yeah. So that was, and him going to the Patriots, big boost for that defense. Obviously, there's a lot of good offensive weapons on New England, but it's nice to see the defense get beefed up even more. So
then him reuniting back with Vrabel.
Yeah, that's another thing. Mike Vrabel and Kevin Byard reunited, and Vrabel has established such a fun culture over there with the Patriots.
Have you watched any of his interviews, dude?
He cracks me up. He's great.
He just seems like a guy's guy you'd want to hang out with. So I root for Vrabel. Like I didn't root for the Patriots, but like I root.
No, I get it. He's one of the guys. Now here's the thing: do you like his interviews more than Dan Campbell's?
Yeah, just Dan Campbell is very authentic, but he's very motivational speaker-ish, which is great. And you need those people. But Vrabel's more of a guy you can kind of kick the can with.
Okay.
In my opinion, for my personal personality.
I mean, Dan Campbell is definitely the type of guy that you could chug a few beers with here and there.
Yeah, but me and Dan Campbell's going to be
chill.
Me and Dan Campbell's going to be crying at the end of the night while we drink those beers, which is a great night, but it's going to be that kind of different night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take it. So moving right along now in the NFL news, basically, there's, like I said, it's been a much slower day today than it was yesterday. Of course, we all know about the latest on the whole thing with the Ravens and the Raiders. But Javon Hargrave signs a 2-year, $23 million deal with the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers, starting D tackle for the Packers, Devontae Wyatt, fractured his fibula and suffered ligament tears in his ankle in the Thanksgiving Day victory over Detroit this past season. So while Wyatt is healing up, this is a perfect signing for them. Beef up the defensive line, and when you lose Quay Walker and Rashawn Gary, this is a very important veteran presence. And dude's a freaking beast, 6'2", 307. Like, damn.
Yeah. Great addition. I
concur with that. Now, this one is, goodness, this one's going to be interesting. Okay. The Chicago Bears beefed up their offensive line, at least they think, by signing former Browns offensive tackle Jedrick Willis, the junior, on a 1-year deal. Former number 10 overall pick out of Alabama. He's played 57 out of 58 career games over 5 seasons. However, the past 3 years, he has played in 13 games, and he didn't play at all last year. I've seen him play. A lot left to be desired. I mean, we talked about Jawan Taylor a few times on the show about his undisciplined style, and Jedrick Willis is kind of the same, but on the opposite side of the field. Um, and
which is even worse as left tackle.
that's what I'm saying. Being an undisciplined left tackle, and his pass blocking is so poor. He's a much better run blocker. So if Chicago emphasizes the run, good for them, But the truth of the matter is, if it's a depth signing, good, better. I just don't think the injuries have also been brutal. I don't think he's starter material at this point. It's just, yeah, because especially having to be the blind side blocker, like you got to be a lot better than he's been.
Yeah, it might be one of those deals they're looking for depth. They'll see kind of how this market plays out. There's guys still that's going to be released post June 1st. I wouldn't assume just right off the bat that they would roll with him as their number one left tackle. No questions asked.
Oh yeah. Now I will say I do like the Buffalo Bills made a good move earlier today. They signed Bradley Chubb to a 3-year deal. Man, this is my thing with Bradley Chubb. He's a workhorse. The Dolphins pushed him to the brink of when, and it was either him or Jalen Phillips that literally got injured at that point the game was out of hand that they played in and suffered a season-ending injury. I can't remember if it was Phillips or if it was Bradley Chubb. One of the two. Now, what I do know is Bradley Chubb, still just 29 years old, drafted in the first round, 48 career sacks, a 2-time Pro Bowler. So, I mean, a lot of great talent there, especially for Buffalo's defense, which people don't usually talk enough about. And they need to put more emphasis on.
Do you think it's a good signing? I think it's okay.
I think it's good. Because
I'll tell you why I think it's okay. You're getting Bradley Chubb on his third contract. You're the like you said, the Dolphins have ran him down into the ground, tread just down, and this feels like a very maybe not to the same extent Von Miller, but a younger Von Miller, not as good. Von Miller's a top 15, top 20 pass rusher of all time. So,
okay.
The deal's not bad. They're not giving up a whole lot of money. And like you said, he's 29 years old, so he's still young enough to be productive. I think his superstar years are behind him.
Okay. No, I do get that. I do, and sometimes it's not even about making a big superstar splash. It's just having that veteran presence that can really help out the team.
Agreed. And but under a new head coach, it's probably not a bad move to have.
Right. That's true as well. Now, last piece of NFL news I did want to talk about. I wanted your quick thoughts on this before we move on to the NBA. The NFL is reportedly exploring playing on Thanksgiving Eve. Now, Christmas Eve, you got Christmas, you have Thanksgiving. Now they're talking about possibly playing on Thanksgiving Eve, which would be Wednesday, November 25th. And there were 2 Christmas Day games on Wednesday last year in 2024. And I mean, look, Thursday night games have been enough criticism as it is because of how short of a week players have. Pushing games to a Wednesday, I mean, it's logistically challenging, and it's not pleasant to even think about for the sake of injuries.
You know what made the NFL? Because I think the Chiefs played on a Tuesday, I believe, or a Wednesday, not a couple years ago. It was a weird game day like that. But the NFL kind of changed if they could do it whenever COVID happened. And then they had to move a couple games around on certain days. After that, it was just they're willing to do it. The sponsors they're going to pay the money for it. That's a prime day every day, a day before Thanksgiving. Oh, NFL is going to get every sponsor they can possibly get. We'll be on 7 days a week, probably besides Saturdays while college football's in, and that's
And
only
even
by.
then, they'll probably try to find a way to compete against them, heaven forbid.
Well, they already do. If it wasn't for laws that didn't allow it, they would do it.
Yeah, they had to establish laws in place because of that, because of conflict of interest and and plus it is these are the future stars of the NFL.
Well, yeah, I think this is loosely, don't hold me to it word for word. Yeah, it's for Friday night for high school football, and it's a little more lax for college football, and then Sundays are theirs. So,
Friday Night Lights is a tradition like no other.
Yeah, no, that's one thing you got to protect things like that. So, but yeah, then moving to Wednesday, not that surprising.
The fact that it's even a possibility is just ugh. But moving right on.
Sorry, is it possible to oversaturate the NFL though? I mean, will we reach that point? I mean, because at that point, that's kind of what we're.
I think it's possible because they want to not only expand where it's played, but they want to expand the amount of games in which are played.
Right.
And that will lead to an oversaturation. You can't because here's the thing. Just because you don't play 162 games in a year like baseball doesn't mean it's not oversaturated or can't be oversaturated.
Right. Right.
So,
well, because you get to that point, because even Thursday night games, they're like, I have other stuff to do. I have a family.
Right. Sometimes it can be background noise or something like, oh, it's on, but we're not locked in.
Right.
So speaking of somebody who was locked in, though,
boy,
man, Bam Adebayo. Okay.
83 points, brother. 42
minutes, 83 points, 43 free throws, I believe. Yeah. And keep in mind, this year he's averaged 20 points a game. Now you all can say what you want about the Heat doing it against the Wizards. I don't care if it was against the Wizards or the Charlotte Bobcats. The fact that anybody, let's put it this way. Think of the amount of NBA players in history, just the amount of players in NBA history. Only 3 have scored 80 or more points. Kobe Bryant at 81, Bam at 83 now, and then Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Man,
the fact that it came from a big man. I know he shoots threes, but because I believe he went like 7 for 16 last night in threes. So even for with these big men these days shooting threes. Hey, I thought I would have never seen somebody pass Kobe's 81. Not ever. How efficient he had to be that evening versus Toronto. I never thought we would see somebody pass that. And Bam is an absolute baller. It's a center, top 5 center in the league. Absolutely right now. But when you think of Bam, it's more of a defensive presence type of a center that you have in him. So for me to look up my phone and then everybody's saying Bam got 83 points, I'm like, this can't be real. And then you Google it and you're like, he got 83 points. That's crazy. Granted, 36 of his points were free throws. But that's a guy doing the work on the inside. He's just
yeah. And this is my thing. it's a complicated time in the NBA because guess what? Even when something spectacular and historic happens, there's always got to be a built-in argument attached to it. Like, come on now. And, it just I get it. And I think a big part of it is because of who he passed.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. 95% of the reason people are upset about Bam getting to second all time in points in a game is because Kobe was at 81. That's the thing.
Which is crazy. I love Kobe. That's how I love him. He's my favorite player of all time. When I seen it, that's not the first thing I thought of was like, oh, he passed Kobe. But you're right. The discourse is a lot of, oh, well, Kobe's was better because he was more efficient. He didn't have to shoot over 40 free throws. Like, guys, can we appreciate greatness? This man dropped 83 points last night in an NBA game in 2026. That is why a center on top of that. That's not Steph Curry just getting hot from the three. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The fact that the discourse has been comparison, the comparison's a thief of all joy. So it's like the fact that you guys can't enjoy that, that's great. That boy was balling last night.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I look at it, and what's funny to me is, we look at Wilt's stats for this, and bear with me 1 second. Okay, in 48 minutes played, Wilt shot 63 attempts, and he made 36 of them. He attempted 32 free throws and made 28 of them, 25 rebounds, and only 2 assists. But in total, 100 points here. You still look at it, and here's the thing: as the game, he was consistent throughout the game. 23 points in the first quarter, 18 in the second, 28 in the third, 31 in the fourth. So it's not like one was worse than the other. One quarter was better than the other. Bam, it was a great performance. It was historic.
Yeah. No, man. If people have it, they should go back and watch the highlights. Just because Bam was putting in that work. And Wizards were trying to stop him. They just couldn't. He just had one of those nights. And luckily, his teammates kept feeding him.
And let me go and let me do the quarters for Bam here. We go 31 points in the first quarter, 12 in the second, 19 in the third, and 21 in the fourth. Once again, aside from a little less in the second quarter, and keep in mind the numbers also skewed because it's 17 fewer points than Wilt's. That's still consistent throughout the game. And you just think about how happy he was because Bam even said, I wish I could relive it twice. So this is a special moment. Wilt, me, and then Kobe, which sounds crazy.
No, that does. That does. Good for him. Good for that young man. I was
so happy for him. I don't care what anybody says.
Me too, because I watched this press conference afterwards with him and his girlfriend, Asia. I can't remember her last name. The basketball player, I believe, for Las
Asia
Vegas.
Wilson?
Yes, Asia Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was just it's a moment of purity. The dude's absolutely ecstatic. Can you believe I just scored 83 points in an NBA game? And the purity of the situation, just, I don't know. Nobody else can ruin it for me. I've watched that 3 different times. And I don't know. Bam's that dude. He's, like you said, the fact that he's a 20-point scorer and he's mostly an inside guy, he's top 5. It's hard to get for people to get 20 points in a game, let alone 80.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, it's only happened 3 times. It's not that people don't understand. This is this is the 700 home run club we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right now, because in baseball, there's only 4 players who've hit 700 or more home runs.
Right.
Albert Pujols, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, and Barry Bonds. It is that exclusive, and that's the 80-point club in the NBA. It's one of the greatest accomplishments a player can do. The fact that we're in 2026 and it still only happened twice, I think is a testament to that. And people are spending so much time, trying to bring Bam down.
That's just crazy. That's just crazy.
It reflects them more than anything. Like,
I absolutely agree.
Also, can I just show this? Look at this picture. Only real fans know what he's doing, and it's so funny to me. Like, because I don't even think Kobe did it when he scored 81.
No, you won't find a picture of him up there with that. The question is, does anybody catch Wilt? We've still got hit 83 in our lifetime. Does a guy ever catch Wilt?
So here's my question, and that's a great cliffhanger for next week too, because here's my thing. We've only seen it twice in our lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
Twice somebody get 80.
Right.
I don't even, and this is, my thing. I only have so much knowledge in my jar of memory here as far as what is the second high, basically what's the fourth highest scoring game in NBA history. So
you got, I think you got 4 or 5 guys who've hit 70. Jordan's been in there. Joel Embiid.
I know.
Luka's hit 70. Devin Booker's hit 70.
Oh, this is funny. This is too funny. All right. So obviously we know the top 3. Number 4 is Wilt with 78 points. And he got it before he got his 100-point game. Number 5, we are tied with, 3 players, but 4 games. 2 of them are Wilt. One is David Thompson, and the other is Luka, all 73 points. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, actually. That's a good question. That's tough because it's almost it's like asking, will anybody ever break Barry Bonds' home run record? Right. Or Pete Rose's hit record. The 100-point game is the most it's definitely one of, if not the most unbreakable records in basketball.
I think it's also, of all sports, maybe the most single game important record there is.
Oh, yeah.
Across all sports.
I think so because, we talk a lot about individual performances, whereas, or like team performance is the thing, whereas this was a straightforward individual performance. Like Wilt scored 100 points.
Yeah.
So like you got to figure out there's like Norm Van Brocklin's 554 passing yards in a single game. Like, will that ever be broken? There's a lot of
7 touchdowns in a single game.
7 touchdowns in a single game. There's also the Willie Anderson, 336 receiving yards in one game.
I think that one's going to be broke for sure.
At some point, it would have to be, but that would also mean that the quarterback that throws to him will probably break the passing yard in one game record.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to be chucking it a lot to get a receiver, or just get some big touchdowns.
Yeah, that's kind of it. You just kind of have to get some big touchdowns. This is how old I am. Stephon Page, he's top 10, former Chiefs receiver. I want to say in the mid 80s. That's kind of how he got it. I think he had 318 yards on like 8 catches. So, and I don't think the quarterback. I think the quarterback maybe hit 400.
Oof.
So like typically, you're going to need some kind of guy that's going to keep slinging you that rock and who's a good quarterback. That's where, because when I asked that about, or when I mentioned about being able to break the record, first thing I thought of was Burrow and Chase, because Chase seems to be once a year he'll push 300.
Yeah. You know what? Whether it's an episode of Roundabout or just the next time we're doing a video, unbreakable sports records, that I can get behind, and or what can be, what can't be, because I'll say this. To me, if I'm just going to say it, the most to me, the record that I don't think will ever be broken till the day I die. It's kind of like there's a 1A and 1B. Not only Cy Young's 511 wins as a pitcher, I don't think his 749 complete games.
No.
Come on. You're never going to get that broken.
We might run out of guys who get to 300 wins in their career.
And that's the thing. That's a dying era right there. It's just getting to 300 wins.
Right. So it's starting to dry up now. I mean, I know there's a couple guys who've gotten closer, have hit it in last year. Not maybe the last 3 or 4 years.
It's getting more exclusive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just it's just less and less.
Well, folks, we're gonna wrap up this week here on Roundabout Sports. I want to thank my co-host, my dear friend Adam Frecks, as always. And remember, for Roundabout Sports, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and any and all other streaming platforms. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, X, and the official Interstate 70 Sports Media YouTube channel. Also, we want to talk about our sponsor, one of our proud sponsors, Harsh Construction LLC. Be sure to call them at 618-363-9818 for a free quote today. Harsh Construction LLC, with over 50 years combined experience in construction and home remodeling and renovation. Harsh Construction LLC, proud sponsor of Interstate 70 Sports Media. As always, we put up the NAMI helpline at the end of the show. For that, you dial 1-800-950-NAMI, 1-800-950-NAMI. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated for people who struggle with mental illness. And, of course, we put up the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. For that, you dial 988. Line is open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand you're never alone in this world. There is always somebody out there who loves you, who cares about you, and who wants nothing but the best for you. Your feelings matter. I know there's always trials and tribulations we all go through in this world, but they should never be faced alone. You were just a phone call, a text message, an appointment away from what could be that life-saving moment. And you could be the listening ears and watchful eyes for somebody else in need as well. So until next time, folks, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp. He's Adam Frecks. And remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.